partly because of AI technology. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the dagger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The troubles continue for the Lakers, and they seem to be getting worse. They were down by 30 to Phoenix last night in the fourth quarter before eventually losing by 18. Thursday's loss dropped the Lakers one game below 500. They are 5-11 since December 9th. The Clippers are back in action tonight at Memphis, 5 p.m. tip-off on Bally Sports. The Clippers, 11 games over 500, are just 2 games behind Minnesota for the best record in the Western Conference. A rough night for LA's men's college basketball teams. UCLA lost by 46 at Utah. USC freshman guard Isaiah Collier will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a hand injury. Collier is USC's number 2 scorer behind Boogie Ellis. The Rams are 3-point underdogs in Sunday's playoff game at Detroit. First home playoff game for the Lions in 30 years. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, pursuing justice through participatory democracy. Listen to KBLA Talk 1580, Saturday morning, January 13th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for an exclusive forum featuring the candidates for LA County District Attorney. Join KBLA's Tavis Smiley as he helps navigate what promises to be a forum full of fire when the candidates trying to unseat current LADA George Gascon come together on stage on the campus of the Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. Again, it's the LA County District Attorney Forum, live, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580, Saturday morning, January 13th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Helping to raise your civic IQ. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tavis Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First. My first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from G-O-D, the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders and getting it going. We do have a lot to talk about, and the way we talk about it is just like this. Hour one, we usually look local, what's happening on the Pacific Coast side of town. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. In the third hour, we do a deep dive. But on Fridays, lately, we are flipping the script a bit. We do left coast still, hour one. Hour two, we do something called Freedman Fridays, the comprehensive conversation about reparation. Like, just all comers, all voices, every faction, every organization. Let's see what's going on. Let's keep the momentum to, ongoing, and we can all get more educated about what's going on in the space. Today, my guest for that Freedman Fridays segment is Friday Jones, a.k.a. Kansa Muhammad, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. Hour three, it's freestyle phones blowing the roof off the place, and let's talk about it, all the things that are going on, all of the things that, you want to talk about. And many times we end up unpacking what we've learned or debated in the second hour of our Fridays. So bring it. 800-920-1580. That's the number you can call regardless of your area code. And yeah, that's what we do. And let's do it now. I'm so happy to welcome in this morning a professor, also happens to be our neighbor here at KBLA Talk 1580 because he is the proprietor, one of the proprietors of the Metaphor Club, also an author and a Twitter X space sniper.
I can't stand racists.
Professor Lawrence Ross, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Oh, you just like to get on there and just go in on yeah, it usually does seem to be racist.
It's always racist, and I just don't I just don't feel that God gave me this intelligence to sit here and let racists just spout, or just mediocre white folks who want to come to me with absolutely no evidence, no facts, not even just a modicum of actual study, and then they come to tell me that they basically should be equal in their opinions. No. The nuns the nuns did not sacrifice their time for me to just allow that to happen.
Well, it can be really toxic on X. I mean, I've had people attack me really, really, really come at me hard a couple times. Once when Congresswoman Maxine Waters retweeted something of ours, and all her conservative haters came after me.
Oh yeah.
And another time I got really taken down, well, not taken down, but attempted to be taken down by the Tariq Nasheed mob.
All the FEAs.
Yeah.
You see little flags on there. You see them coming.
Yeah, but you don't care about that? It doesn't.
No, I don't care. No. I mean, the whole point. I mean, remember the reason why X or Twitter is so toxic is because they know that conflict creates engagement, right? And conflict is one of those things that you may say that you want to get away from, but it's oftentimes you just say to yourself, even if you're eating dinner, you go, let me go back and respond to that. And half of it, half of it used to be, this is what I actually said out there on Twitter. I said, I kind of, almost forgotten about the thoughtful conservatives, people I was diametrically opposed to, but at least had thoughts, right? A lot of them right now don't have thoughts. They just emote. They emote whatever they've heard on radio or Fox News, and so they just have these trite little sayings that they just want to put out there. They're half slurs, half just straight up racist things that they really want to get into. But I just feel that even with those trolls, one of the things that I do is that I just either of them, I don't care if they're on Earth 2. I'm on Earth 1 where all the facts are. I'm gonna ether them and then block them. And then when I ether them and block them, they spend the rest of their lives, maybe they won't, but part of their lives actually thinking about the fact that they never gotten the last word. Because they're not. I mean, in some ways, it's pathetic in terms of the bankruptcy of their ideas, right? They're against, and we were talking about this with the Claudia Gay issue over at Harvard, and I told folks, particularly my HBCU friends, right after the affirmative action ruling had gone down, and I was hearing people saying, well, basically in all, just to summarize it, well, that's what y'all get for going to a predominantly white institution, right? And all the racists were popping up at right around that time because that's when kind of Elon Musk, head racist and in charge by his works that he's either tweeted or retweeted. He started that avalanche of people then coming out and attacking, just anything about the entity, anything about black people could not possibly, work on a PWI. But I also knew they were going to come after HBCUs. And we just recently had something where Elon Musk was basically saying that if we had black pilots, particularly from HBCUs, they wouldn't be as smart as other pilots. And then all these other, racists started latching on to that, and to the point where the Thurgood Marshall Foundation had to come out with a statement talking about the fact that we have a long tradition of black pilots being out there, but just the mere fact that we're answering a question feeds into
right, because he was basing it on his so-called data about IQ, and we already know that the IQ test is racially biased.
Yes.
Let's use a racially biased test to measure. And then the other thing, I was talking to some friends that are flight attendants, and they're like, all the pilots have to pass the same tests.
Of course.
All the pilots have to pass the same training. It's not about, your IQ. Like, there's some people with really high IQs that probably can't even drive a car, and and that can maybe do amazing advanced calculations. Doesn't mean you're a great pilot.
There's a myriad of things, and also one of the things that happens is that all of those variables, all those qualitative variables in terms of like whatever, occupation are always, variable, right?
But no airline is just going to let you fly because you're black. Like, that is never going to happen. In fact, it's just the opposite.
It's just the opposite, and that's the world that they live in, because they see, people in spaces that they don't believe should be in those spaces. And if their underlying basis is two things. If they their underlying basis, they do not believe that black people are human. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Then they shouldn't be there. And then the second thing, if they are human, they are inherently inferior. So if they got there, that's the Claudia Gay thing. If they got there, they can't possibly have been qualified for it, and they have to be a top 10, white men that we overlooked in order to give them that place.
But President Claudine Gay, she, the knock is plagiarism.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
The citations.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, as a professor, that's what I keep hearing from a lot of conservatives. Well, it's not about race. It's about plagiarism.
Right. A lynch mob that finds an excuse on the way to lynching someone is still a lynch mob. And the reason why they were going after her particularly was because she was a black woman. They just found an excuse, and it's not. I'm not saying that it's not serious in terms of dealing with plagiarism, but not all of it is as my friend Mark Lamont Hill talked about. Not all of it is a first-degree murder, charge on it. In terms of, there are certain things you're like, okay, fix the citations, or did you lift everything? But the irony of it is that the billionaire, which is almost always proving why we should not have billionaires in this country, Bill Ackman, was one of the main people actually leading the charge against her. And guess what? His wife plagiarized a number of things, including, of all places, Wikipedia. And so now he's been spending like the last week and a half trying to justify why his wife should actually have grace and why Claudia Gay, well, that was a completely different thing, even though his wife probably, in terms of the magnitude of the crime, was worse. But it's just one of those things in terms of, and you can look at their threads and you can see the hypocrisy in real time. And the only variable that's different is that one is a black woman and one is a white woman.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like you said, plagiarizing Wikipedia is a little bit more, or a lot more egregious.
Yeah.
And also, it just happened, 2018 or something, whereas President Gay was in the 90s, and there was some conversation about whether the standards were even the same then as far as for citation.
Right. I mean, and that's, it's not even whether or not the standards are there. It's even just a consideration about, when we look at something like this, the consideration and taking that consideration seriously to say, well, inherent in who she is not someone who's going to create a crime. This is what I talk about on campus racism lectures. I always talk about how we give the benefit of the doubt to white students, and then we think that there's inherent criminality for the black students, right? So two of them get in trouble. The white students thought to say, well, that's against their character. This is just one incident, so don't judge them on that. If it's a black student, well, that's part of their pathology of where they're from, their inner city or their single motherhood or so on and so forth. Same thing in terms of how we look at this. He wants us to see his wife's humanity. I'm okay with that as long as Claudia Gay gets the same consideration, and they didn't give him the same consideration. And the hypocrisy is just laid bare. And now what they just do is they just keep digging, because he knows that as a billionaire, he's much more powerful than 99.9% in monetary, in terms of using his wealth to craft a message. Claudia Gay isn't going to get her reputation back, and she's not going to get her job back. But, those come and go. But the fact that he's able to throw that weight around is a disturbing thing, and that's the attack that we're going to start seeing, or if we haven't started seeing, we are seeing on black people around the country, no matter what you're talking about in terms of what occupation. Whether or not other people have the right to be able to say that you have a right to a particular position, whether or not you earned it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how I perceive what's going on with Fani Willis in Georgia. It's like, oh, we found another black woman we can send out the intellectual lynch mob and try to save the former president.
Yeah.
In the meantime, take down this woman who's clearly professionally excellent.
There's nothing, they lean into the structures of understanding that they can even create a narrative, not even one of those things where anything's true. This is what Trump knows. He can go out there and create a narrative.
Like the whole birther threat.
Yeah.
The birther conversation.
You know it's ridiculous all the way through, but the monetary, in terms of the news cycle, needing to make sure that they're, each station is not behind in terms of covering something, means that they give it gravitas. And so even if it's ridiculous, then he still gets what he wants, which is his message out there, which is just straight up propaganda, saying, and I don't like Nikki Haley 1 ounce, but he's using the same playbook, and folks are doing the exact same thing. They're covering it. And it's only, I love that chart, whenever something happens where it's a skin color chart and everything, where the innocent parts are the lighter and the thing. Well, that's exactly, it's almost like the media only do this based upon how dark that skin is, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not they're going to cover it hard or whether or not they're not going to cover it, right? But it still plays into, kind of like this notion that I can throw anything into the media chum and you all will actually get it, and that still affects how people see. Because we consume news. Most people get bits and pieces, and then folks going around thinking, is that Haley Indian woman? They don't know what is Nikki Haley Nikki, is she really? And you just throw that little case into the racist bloodstream that folks want to actually decide to swim in. Boom. There you go. You've been effective. And the same thing happened with black folks. I don't know if, black people really, should be going to the top schools. That just basically domino effects. I don't know really if they're qualified. Did they get the best education to go in this particular occupation? And then boom, boom, boom. And it's trying to thwart black social mobility, black economic mobility by saying, if we put it in the we play into what's actually out there, which is black people are not, capable and not intellectually, we have tests, IQ tests that show this, and this. Well, it's the same old pseudoscientific crap that has always been tossed at us, which means that in some ways, if we just look at the efforts that we do and see ourselves, we know we're excelling. But if other people outside are looking at who and what we are, they'll never see us and say, yes, you all are, you do this, you do that. Unless you agree with their, white supremacist platform, then they will platform you left and right. Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock, and the like.
Yeah. We're talking with Professor Lawrence Ross, who writes, by the way, on campus racism, among many other things. You're welcome in the conversation. I want to talk about some things going on here locally. A fun event that you've got launching over there, and all that stuff is coming up. You'll like this one. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. So, what are you doing this Friday morning? How about you come join the KBLA delegation as we make a historic announcement and unveil our climate justice campaign for 2024. We'll be assembled for this major press conference along with LA Mayor Karen Bass, Ben Jealous, Executive Director of the Sierra Club, and a host of other public and private leaders who are joining us on this journey to justice, climate justice. We can't think of a better way to kick off the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend, linking social justice and climate justice. So, come join us this Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. at the beautiful MLK Memorial Tree Grove at the top of Kenneth Hahn Park off La Cienega. Once again, that's this Friday morning, January 12th at 10:30 a.m. as we take on the task of elevating the climate conversation by amplifying the voices of those who are most impacted by the climate catastrophes we are all witnessing in real time. KBLA delegation, we hope to see you this Friday morning at KBLA Talk 1580. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king.
Okay, I have to admit, 2024 really snuck up on me. Luckily, Kohl's has everything my family needs to start the new year out right. With the 15% off going on, I got my husband and I Flex Styles under $30 and Tech Gear Activewear under $20. I also found a NutriBullet juicer for just $79.99. To top it all off, I earned Kohl's Cash too. So, it's not too late to make a resolution, right? Offers end January 15th. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, talking with Professor Lawrence Ross and you, and we didn't say we're going to go down this road about the academic stuff, but you're here, so we are.
Yeah.
I have to ask you because I feel like the pressuring of Claudine Gay to step down at Harvard, along with and the fact that the UPenn president also stepped down.
Yeah.
Along with the sort of lynch mob mentality that's going on in Congress and in the American psyche.
Yeah.
And also these billionaires flexing around the Gaza conflict.
Yeah.
Do you feel like any kind of, concern about being, professors being targeted, academic, not just professors, obviously administration, faculty being targeted by donors? And is that concerning? Because to me, it seems like the curriculum is also a concern. We've seen it at least in Florida.
Yeah, with the new college and everything out there in Florida. Yeah, I think it is. We should be concerned. One of the things that happens is that oftentimes you have these kind of spasms where everyone believes that nothing but leftists, this, kind of amorphic type of, all-use term of leftists and everything on college campuses just indoctrinating students, and it couldn't be anything further from the truth. But what's happening is that, Harvard doesn't even, they kind of say it in their name in terms of their how they set it up. The Harvard Corporation, they run it like a business, and in some ways they get pressured, by the individual donors who are putting money into XYZ building or infrastructure, and they've as long as colleges and universities have existed, you've had that relationship between kind of the titan of industry.
Do you think it's more blatant now? Because I feel like people just can say, well, that person is anti-Semitic, or that person is teaching critical race theory.
They're learning that it doesn't require that their money gives them kind of like this false notion that they're smart. That there's a correlation between the fact
that they should somehow have oversight
even
on curriculum.
Yeah,
hiring.
Even Bill Ackman, the billionaire hedge fund guy who we were just talking about with his wife who plagiarized. He wrote this long screed, but in part of it he talked about basically only have, recently learned about, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI programs. And I'm like, and I, kind of sarcastically went back and I was like, oh, well, a few weeks of understanding DEI, that should be enough. And that's, but they realize that they have enough money to be able to project whatever their initial, visceral reaction to something. So, DEI or CRT or all those things are just stand-ins for they just don't want black people in these spaces.
Well, yeah, when Elon Musk tweeted, DEI must die, I realized that's the next thing. And I saw your post where you said, white folks were mad because,
Yeah.
they didn't have a whipping boy anymore when they got rid of affirmative action, but now they have a new one and they're happy.
Yeah, very happy. It's like you can't. They won with affirmative action being repealed by the Supreme Court, but then they got sad, because they didn't have a slur that they say that you were affirmative action hire, so on and so forth. But then they found DEI, and then they were like, hey, we can use that as a slur, and they got happier, right? And it's
it's crazy.
It's insane. It's insane because it's one of those. I look at it two different ways, because I try in how I live my life not to have the whiteness as itself try to dictate anything about whether or not in terms of my own self-identity or the things that I do in the world. But that having been said, it is kind of insane that in our essence, black folks are probably the most fervent believers in the idea of the principles of America, and the people who are coming at us don't believe in it enough. They can't fathom a world in which the world doesn't lean toward them. And in some ways, I have the deepest of petty in my soul. So no one will ever say, when people say you're better than that, I'm like, no, I'm not better than that when it comes to races. But in some ways, you kind of just you pity them. Because that they can't see a country in which everyone has a contribution.
Well, it's a bit of a dilemma, I think, at least for broadcasters. Mm-hmm. How do you cover this? Yeah. And my friend, the actor Isaiah Washington, was on Twitter. He had a KKK guy come in his Twitter space and start calling him N-words and B-words, and then people were mad because he didn't push back enough on this racist. So what do? If you scream on the guy, then people are going to say, you're being a snowflake.
Right.
If you give them space, people are going to say you're condoning them.
Right.
For me, it's always even a question of, do I give folks a platform? I'm going to scream on them because for me, I'm going to maybe not scream, but I'm going to shut it down.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get on my platform and just have free reign to preach. You have like thousands of other talk radio shows for that. But the question is, do we even have them on? Like, what should you do when a KKK troll hops in the room? What should you do when you have a guest sitting in that chair who is spouting white supremacy?
I am very happy you asked me that.
And should you even have them there at all?
Yeah. What I do is I mock them for their lack of intelligence. That's the first thing that gets them, because they think it's absolutely arrogant that I actually flex the thing that I have, which is an actual brain. And so it's not for me to get into like the mud. That's where they want to actually fight. Mine is to actually be in a space where I know that I'm going to just eviscerate them, because in essence, they actually know at some point in time that they don't have the tools. And so when you don't have the tools, the only thing that you can do is to go into a box full of the same type of trite little things. And those things, when they recognize they don't affect you, because I'm not sitting up here waiting, looking for the validation of some KKK member or some crazy nut who has an anonymous account.
Or some billionaire.
Yes, or some billionaire. Yeah. How does that affect me? I'm not sitting up scraping to become a billionaire, right? I'm not going to do that in the next 10 years and everything. And even if I did, it wouldn't be to have this sense of self in which that as I told, I don't care if he reads it or not, but I put on his feed, I was like, you've been on here a brief time, but wrong about everything. Okay. I was like, that's pretty impressive, but they don't know that. And the pitiable thing about the billionaires is they don't have friends. They don't have people who can honestly tell them, stop digging. Stop digging, or the place that you're going is a place that you don't know anything about. The ordinary person, you know what? I look at it from the standpoint, this is a person with limited whatever. Hey, they'll make it through their lives just as long as you're not affecting me in terms of when I sell my house or when my child wants to get an education, all the rest of the stuff. Go back over in your little hole, meet up with your little friends, and go ahead and talk about all the things that you want to talk about black folks that you don't even know. Fine. You don't bug me. It's the people who actually have power to move people and really guide public perception, like Elon Musk and Bill Ackman, that are the people who are the most dangerous.
Okay, we only have 40 seconds until news, traffic, and sports. But you have an event coming up called Tequila and the Bee.
Yes, it's our annual Tequila and the Bee. We invite everyone to come through it. My name, I'm the chapter president of the Inglewood Alphas, and you don't have to be in an African American fraternity sorority to come to this event. We make sure that everyone feels welcome. But it's a very simple concept. We have a tequila tasting at the Miracle Theater along with a spelling bee for all you 6th grade spelling champs who said that you could outspell everybody else. Here's your opportunity. And you can get your tickets. Just go to a Black-owned event company called Ticket Falcon, and you can just put tequila in the event, and it'll pop right up.
Okay, we'll talk more about it because it's a fun event. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The top Democrat in the House says democracy is on the ballot in 2024. African-American House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told reporters Americans should be terrified Donald Trump appears to be the Republican front-runner for president. Jeffries went on to criticize House Republicans, saying the most unproductive Congress in history is being presided over by who he called extreme MAGA Republicans. We're learning passengers who were on the Alaska Airlines jet that lost a door mid-flight are now suing Boeing. The plane's left side door flew off last Friday, shortly after takeoff, causing the cabin to depressurize and forcing an emergency landing. A class action lawsuit says the incident caused economic, physical, and emotional pain for those on that flight. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The troubles continue for the Lakers, and they seem to be getting worse. They were down by 30 to Phoenix last night in the fourth quarter before eventually losing by 18. Thursday's loss dropped the Lakers one game below 500. They are 5-11 since December 9th. The Clippers are back in action tonight at Memphis, 5 p.m. tip-off on Bally Sports. The Clippers, 11 games over 500, are just 2 games behind Minnesota for the best record in the Western Conference. A rough night for LA's men's college basketball teams. UCLA lost by 46 at Utah. USC freshman guard Isaiah Collier will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a hand injury. Collier is USC's number 2 scorer behind Boogie Ellis. The Rams are 3-point underdogs in Sunday's playoff game at Detroit. First home playoff game for the Lions in 30 years. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
There's only a few days left for open enrollment, starting at $0 a month. LA Care Covered offers the benefits you need to achieve your health goals. $0 preventive services, 24/7 virtual care and nurse advice lines, walk-in minute clinics, free fitness and nutrition classes, and more. Become a member of LA's most affordable health plan. Get a free instant quote at lacarecovered.org. Have open enrollment questions? Connect with us today at 855-222-4239. Find your affordable path to wellness with LA Care Covered today.
There are many things to love about winter. Cozy sweaters, celebrations, and family time. But winter can also bring many stressors, extra expenses, seasonal bugs, and so much family time. If you and your loved ones are feeling stressed or anxious this winter, CalHope can help. Check out our free mental health resource at calhope.org today.
Hey LA, save water and put money in your pocket with rebates from LA DWP. Start saving with free shower heads and faucet aerators. Then save with every flush when you upgrade to a water-efficient toilet and get a $250 rebate. You can also save on every load of laundry with a high-efficiency clothes washer and get a $500 rebate. That's right, LA DWP customers can get $500 rebates on qualifying clothes washers. See all the ways to save at ladwp.com/save.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I do appreciate you. Man, there's so much going on. It's almost hard to keep up with it, and I am very, very sleepy. If I look tired on the YouTube, I am tired, but it was worth it. So Tequila and the Bee, that's your event.
Yeah.
It's a spelling bee with tequila?
With tequila. I mean, you can't, spelling bee with tequila. Oh, and also our friend Mel Henderson at Taco Mel has just donated tacos for the event to make sure, you have something in your stomach. But yes, it's basically a tequila tasting, so, during and, before the event, folks go to like the back patio of the Miracle, and you can taste a variety of different tequilas, eat your tacos, and then come back on stage where we have a lot of fun. We have a DJ on stage. It's kind of like Sandman. If you want to, spell words, it's no pressure. You can either watch them spell words or you can get on stage. And like I joked that we said the 6th grade spelling champ is because everyone who actually comes to our event always talks about what their glories of how they won against XYZ person at St. Anselm Catholic Church and everything like that. So it's a whole lot of fun, and we raise the funds for 2 different things. Our Alpha Literacy Academy, where we give away books to 8th grade boys in Inglewood, and then also we have our college scholarships for in particular for boys who are actually about to graduate. We look at Inglewood first, and then we broaden out. So we're very happy to do that.
That's February 10th.
February 10th between 8 and 11. You can go to Ticket Falcon and then put in tequila, and we will pop up. Or just email me. Email me at alpha, ALPHA 1906 at Gmail, and I'll send you the link.
Okay, that's good stuff. Before I forget, it is a big day around here today, and we are taking phone calls, by the way, 800-920-1580. But we are meeting, by we, I mean KBLA Talk 1580. Big announcement today in Kenneth Hahn Park, right at the Martin Luther King Memorial.
Okay.
And it is all about climate justice. The mayor of LA will be there. We're partnering with some agencies, and they'll be there, the Department of Water and Power, and some other folks, Tavis Smiley, of course, myself. And we're unveiling something that you are going to want to know about. And all are invited. So just come to the top of the hill, Kenneth Hahn Park. Join us there, 10:30 a.m. And, climate is king is what Tavis says. And I really believe that's true, because if we don't have a habitable planet, nothing else matters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know in terms of anecdotal, but I think it's like don't most inner cities are like most higher degrees in terms of the rest of the environments typically because lack of trees,
yes.
In terms of all different elements in terms of like the urbanization actually creates a more harsh environment, which in particular for our more vulnerable elderly, are always the people who are the ones who are at risk, whether or not it's extreme cold or extreme heat and everything like that. But the rest of us are going to be dealing with this too.
Yeah, and of course the environmental justice, the environmental racism piece. So what do we do about it? Join us today. You are invited, and I would love to see you out there. Okay, let's go to the phone. Paul is calling us from LA. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Dominique. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I'm just grateful to be able to listen to you and everything you and Tavis do over there. And Dr. Ross, you know who it is.
Yes, I know. It's my classmate. What's happening, sir?
Not much, man. Just hoping you're well, and April and Langston are doing all right. And I heard you on the radio, and I said, man, I got to give a call. Again, you guys are just giving knowledge to people, and I just appreciate it. So I just need to touch base with you. You need to get in touch with me. We need to do that alpha thing again at John O'Groats.
We will do that, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. And Paul Tyler at John O'Groats over on Pico has been one of our supporters in the past.
We love John O'Groats. They've been a supporter of KBLA.
They are just dope. I mean, I've known Paul since we were 14 years old.
Wow,
So
I did not know that connection.
Yeah.
Also, Taco Mel's is supporting you guys, right?
Yeah, Taco Mel is supporting us. Taco Mel is going to be supplying like tacos for 200 people, and he wants to do more things in the neighborhood in terms of outreach. And I'm so proud of Mel Henderson. I've watched him for 5 years, and he is the most unassuming. I always tell he's the most unassuming food mogul that I know, and so he's just a really great guy. And I love how they do their operation. It makes me really, really proud, and particularly that it's some brothers who have actually done this and have, just been an absolute positive in the neighborhood.
And their tacos are tasty.
And their tacos, everybody in our club.
No.
Yeah. Everybody in our club, goes on a regular basis and everything. And we joke, and he actually shows us like prototypes of new menu items and stuff like that. So we feel like in the know. So
you guys are the test.
Pretty much. I mean, I've eaten every 3-meat combo that you could eat over there. So no, that's my boy, and we really appreciate the fact that.
So it's tequila. It's tacos, tequila, and the beef.
Yeah, but that's kind of that doesn't give us our
sound good. Yeah,
but
for those of us who like to.
Tacos.
Though.
Yeah, and their tacos
Tacos
are
Saturday.
Yeah, it's like a combination. You can't beat that.
All right, we're gonna go to Shelley calling us from Los Angeles. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the show and all the great information. I wanted to put something on everyone's mind and possibly have them take action. This is saving Proposition 13. There's a measure out right now to repeal the death tax. You can refer to repealthedeathtax.com or forcalifornians.com. What basically happened in the 2020 election as we voted in Proposition 19, what was seen on the news was the fund for firefighters, for victims of wildfires to be able to rebuild without reassessment, tax protections for those that are disabled, and those that are 55 plus to move up to 3 times anywhere in California and take their tax bases with them. That's all good. But what they did not talk about was that the generational piece and the protections were removed. So now the way the law is, and people are only finding out when someone in their family passes away, the family home is exempt with limited protections. You only get $1 million exemption, and one of the children, or if the parents are deceased, the grandchildren have to move into the house within a 12-month period and declare that as their principal residence. If they ever move, the property will be reassessed. All other property, land.
Yeah, well, this is a detailed conversation that we can have on another day, Shelley. But we've had the conversation about Prop 19. It was very confusing, and it sounds like it's getting re-litigated in the public at the ballot box once again. So we'll definitely dive into that. That's one of my weekend jobs, is really cramming on all these propositions, because we only have a few weeks before the ballots come in the mail. They're coming in February. Yeah. So thanks for raising that, Shelley, and we'll continue to talk about it. I think we're not going to get tricked again, hopefully.
Propositions always are just Orwellian experiences. you go through them and you're trying to figure out when yes means no and no means yes, and then the deep details of what they try to put in there. It's hard for even just the most sophisticated voter.
Let's go to Carl calling us from LA. Hi, Carl.
Peace to you, love. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, great. Hey, you guys came out about the media earlier this morning, and, I caught something about Alex Padilla and Kamala Harris. They was trying to tear them apart, saying that they had some kind of candle incense business thing going on, and they was, these Latino Hispanics, they saying all those votes are supposed to go to 45. So I see them trying to tear
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. I mean, really, no, we have Venezuelans. If they are voters, they may tend toward the conservative, because that's why they came here, to get away from a socialist government. And the policies of Donald Trump.
Right.
We may see that with Cuban voters, and apparently some Mexican voters are moving to the right. But en masse, no. That's like, black voters are breaking for Trump. Yeah, a few are.
Yeah, they're the same. They're the same.
Okay, 2 questions, Dominique.
Okay, wait, go ahead. Let's
No, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
You won't even let Professor Ross talk, but go ahead, Carl.
Ahead. Oh, yeah. Hey, we love Professor Ross. Hey, look, who's going to be the nominee for the Republican Party? And what's going on with Gavin Newsom? He's stripping all black folks of their SSI and Social Security. Can you give me an answer on any of those two right there? who's going to be the nominee for the Republican Party.
We know who the nominee is going to be. Well, how is that even a question?
Yeah, it's the Donald Trump party. He's going to be the Donald Trump nominee of the Donald Trump party.
Even if it's in the Donald Trump jail, which is Mar-a-Lago with a bracelet.
You got it.
But, Carl, to your other point.
How is the Supreme Court supposed to vote? What's that decision on the Supreme Court?
Oh, so you're talking about the whether or not he can actually be on the ballot?
Yeah, I think that's. Are you referring to whether he can be on the ballot or whether he's immune from prosecution, or which decision?
There are 91 ways of looking at it.
Well, they were saying it was the last decision to be the Supreme Court. So how did that go?
About what though?
Things go. If he'll be on the ballot.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, I think people have mixed. I mean, it's the weirdest thing is that you have a Supreme Court in which they kind of like to say they're contextualists, and I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on the radio. But they just basically look at what was kind of like the original intent of whatever the words actually are, and it seems from what I've gathered, from the most conservative judges to the most liberal judges, the most ones in high esteem have all talked about the fact that it's pretty clear that Donald Trump isn't eligible in the exact same way as a person who's under 35. But does that mean that's going to happen on a Supreme Court that is kind of compromised, in many, many, many different ways? Who knows?
But here's the thing, Carl. Most of the states that are trying to get him off the ballot do not vote that way anyway. Like California, he's going to stay on the ballot.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom has already said that. But would Donald Trump win Maine? I don't know.
I don't think so.
And also, whether or not he's on the ballot doesn't affect whether or not he's the nominee for the Republican Party.
Right.
Individual states can take him off the ballot, and he'd still be the nominee.
Right. I mean, I think in the end, it's not even going to. We're still about a good 9 months away from the November election. I think by that time, we're still going to have at least one of these court cases go to completion. And when that court case comes to completion, he's going to be convicted by something. And you're going to see his numbers plummet. Donald Trump is the monster in the closet. And he constantly, makes it feel like in terms of who he is, he projects more power than he actually has now. He's still dangerous, but his projection of power might just actually go down the minute that he actually gets convicted.
I don't know if I agree that it'll plummet. I think it's going to erode around the edges.
Because
a lot of those people, I mean, even the chair of the Republican National Congress said if he is convicted, we will still stand by him as the nominee.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think you might be right on that. And plus, Trumpism is more than a man now. It's more of a ethos that goes through all of their party, which is the only way that's going to go away is that you just have to be just ground down and you just got to keep losing elections. That's the only way it goes away.
A lot of important stuff going on here locally. In fact, there is a meeting today of the Sheriff's Oversight Committee in which former sheriff, speaking of MAGA, Alex Villanueva, will be testifying about these sheriff gangs. I want to talk about that, give you a little update when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Professor Lawrence Ross is with us. If you want to go to Tequila and the B and have tequila and spelling.
And tacos.
And tacos from Taco Bell. And also you can help kids with books and scholarships. It's February 10th, and we go to Ticket Falcon.
Mm-hmm. And just put in tequila in the search for events, and it will pop up, and you can get your tickets there.
So today, the Sheriff's Oversight Committee is having a meeting at Loyola Law School. This is something they do regularly, have meetings. They are open. It's the Sheriff Civilian Oversight Commission, which is at 919 Albany Street in Los Angeles. After dodging them for a couple of years, former Sheriff Alex Villanueva will testify under oath about L.A. Sheriff's Department gangs. It's something he has been refusing to do.
Right.
And, of course, recently in the Antelope Valley, Niani Finlayson, a young mama who had called the sheriffs for help because she said she was experiencing domestic violence, and she was murdered. By Deputy Ty Shelton. So there's going to be folks packing that place out. BLMLA will be there. I'm sure lots of activists, and you are invited to come down there and help hold the current sheriff, Robert Luna, accountable for Finlayson's death, and also hear what how Sheriff Villanueva, I expect him to stonewall. He's mini Trump.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to really say much. I think he'll probably go down there and he can plead the fifth. Can he pretty much as many times as he possibly can.
But I don't think he will. He'll probably, because he's trying to be an LA County supervisor. He's running.
So he's going to
against
use it as a platform,
right? So he'll froth up his base.
Yeah. It's always odd. I always said that guy was an odd duck because at the beginning he didn't present that way in terms of.
No, he lied is what he did.
Yeah, and then he got into the office and he just was just absolutely terrible. I mean, you can't put any a small finger on it. He was just absolutely terrible. And then now, of course, like most MAGA, they just lean into that terribleness. They don't go, hey, maybe I should have some introspection and maybe I should change my ways. Or
he tricked a lot of people. But it's great that we're finally, even if he lies and grandstands, at least the Sheriff's Civilian Oversight Commission will finally have him in front of them and they can ask the questions. And continuing the work to shut down these L.A. County Sheriff's gangs.
Yeah, it's the L.A. County Sheriffs from Daryl Gates on has always just been a mess. It just feels like a mess, and people just try to mitigate the mess, but it's still a mess. So.
It walks like a mess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you go to the MLK parade? Is coming Monday, and then we've got the festival in Leimert Park.
Yeah, I mean, we normally go. Now we'll either go. Because Martin Luther King was a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha, so we're almost obligated.
Of course, we go to that.
Yeah, we're most obligated, to go to the parade. This year we'll be walking the parade. I mean, I know some chapters will be actually out there walking, and the parade goes right in front of the Metaphor Club too. So I mean, it kind of turns around.
Crenshaw.
Right down Crenshaw. So yeah, I mean, I love the parade. I actually, I have I love anything where I can go and see black folks just out, because we kind of, you don't have that many things like when I grew up, we didn't have that many, we don't have as many collective things like when I grew up. When I was growing up, everybody went to the park, during the holiday, Juneteenth, everybody barbecued, and it was kind of like a mingling of everyone, right? Now we do it on social media or kind of, everything's distant. So I just like anything to where I can walk around and see kids running, and it just reaffirms that, hey, something, this is beautiful.
Continuing our conversation with Professor Lawrence Ross of themetaphorclub.com and you when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You belong here, and we are very glad you're here. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Lawrence Ross is in the studio with me. Thank you for coming in. I know you're in the middle of writing a book. You got deadlines. You got the Metaphor Club. If you want to join the Metaphor Club, it's metaphorclub.com.
Yes.
If you want to try to do spelling while drinking tequila and eating Taco Mel,
we have you. If you come over to Tequila and the Bee, February 10th, the Miracle Theater in Inglewood, it's all for a great cause. We raise funds for all of those black boys in particular who are going to go off to college. You want to support them, and this oftentimes is the way that they get the critical amount of money for, to pay for part of their dorm fees or their books and things like that. And inevitably, when we give them the money, we all cry more than they do. Okay, so get you some tequila, come over and have a great old time. And if you feel that you can spell some words, get up on stage and spell some words.
We only got about a minute and a half here before we lose you at the top of the hour. And I wanted to ask you, as a professor and a parent,
right?
How should we be dealing, preventatively dealing with it? Not only the loss of affirmative action programs and opportunities, but attacks on DEI, where it's like we not only are we not going to help you get in, we want to actively prevent you from being included.
Yeah, I think we always have a bifurcated fight. On one hand, I think we need to start looking at our own resources in terms of preparing our own kids to be able to have the flexibility of going if they want to go to a UC or a PWI. But I'm also kind of like sending folks to HBCUs. I'm really, really kind of advocating sending folks to HBCUs because I'm of this belief system that I don't want young black kids to go to places that are hostile to them. And if you find a PWI that is really actively really trying to create an inclusive environment, beautiful, that's great. But I'm trying to get black folks healthy, as they go through their educational journey. And that leans a little bit more than I used to. Being from California, I had a great experience at, going to Berkeley. And I know a bunch of people had great experiences going to UCLA and all the Cal State schools. But, at some point in time when folks say they don't like you, you got to start recognizing that, that's what they're trying to say. But we're on the exact same side, we have to fight for the right to be in spaces. If businesses aren't going to embrace DEI, then we shouldn't embrace those businesses. Yeah. We have to kind of like going back to those old school civil rights type of deals where they say, don't buy where you can't work. Well, we should have some things like don't support businesses that don't support DEI, because DEI is a substitute for black folks. Whether or not you see black folks as being essential to a company. If you don't, perfectly fine. Yeah. But I'm not buying your item or your service.
Well, Professor Lawrence Ross, thank you so much for being here.
As always, it's always a pleasure to be here.
I'll see you at Tequila on the Beach, February 10th. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The top Democrat